And let me close my office door because I have my grandchildren. And I definitely don't want to wake them up. Okay, so good morning to you. I haven't been here in a while, and basically because your girl been really swamped with the business. And as you can look around my office, we practically live in our office, and there's a reason for that. I'm embarrassed to say that my office needs cleaning out, and we are planning to do that before the year is out because we are planning on um, making this a full-time office, and we won't we will be here but not be here. Um, I desperately need to hire someone to help me run the business, um, run help my husband and I run the business. It's very, very difficult, and I really have to go on a fast and pray and ask God to send someone. Because when you are running a business, you have the responsibility of paying other people, paying your overhead, which is your rent, your insurances, plural, because we have four, about 3 or 4 different insurance policies that we have to carry for our business. Um, Keeping up with the contractor daily assignments, um, answering grievances for customers or clients, being there, period. It is a lot of responsibility, okay? And the biggest responsibility, I think, is the payment. Paying people on time, making sure the pay is fair, um, and the cash flow that comes in. And let me give you an example. Okay, so you might have a revenue that comes in, and while I'm talking, can I do my hair? Because I haven't done my hair, and I should have done my hair Saturday. And I'm doing a pre-poo today, a simple pre-poo. I'm not doing anything complicated because, like I said, I'm babysitting today, and I do have to work as well. Just a little bit of work. I have to meet one of my painters at a property with some supplies. But here we have, I'm using Olaplex, and I've used Olaplex. This is number 3, and they recommend that you use number 3 with number 0. And basically, this is for strengthening, bringing your curl back, that kind of thing. And I did kind of warm press my hair to trim the ends. And so sometimes when I do that, warm press my hair, and I've been warm pressing my hair a little bit more lately because my hair is really, because of the Trichology products I've been taking and the peptide that I've been putting on my roots. Now, I don't get peptide shots. Some people want more aggressive treatment, so they get the shots. But I actually use the root serum. Now, they have the serum, they have the spray, and they also have the conditioner and the shampoo. So you can use the whole line. I don't really need the shampoo and the conditioner, but I thought about trying it. I don't need the spray because I have the serum. Does that make sense? So I use a serum quite often, most of the time every day, but I'm running out, so I have to replenish it. Plus, I use the melatonin, which blocks the DHT. And since I've been doing the serum, the peptide serum, for the last, I think, 4 or 5 months, maybe six, my hair has thickened tremendously. And I don't think I've had hair this thick since I was a child. Seriously, since I was a child. And I think my hair could get thicker. It was growing and it was healthy pretty much. But I didn't know that my hair could actually get thicker coming out of the root. Okay. Um, at this age, I didn't. I thought, well, I just had to accept that I was getting all the results I could get. So when you use the number, I've used the number 3 already, and it's just a cream. On top of that, they recommend that you use the 0. So now I'm putting in the 0, and what I'm gonna do once I get the 0 in, pretty much, and see my hair is, and this is a warm press. This is a warm press. I'm making sure I get the ends. This stuff I've used before and I like the results. And you all know I also use Shea Moisture too as well, Bond Repair. And I will be using the Shea Moisture Bond Repair leave-in conditioner. I might. I might use that or As I Am. Last time I used As I Am, and I really liked the As I Am. I like the results of As I Am. And my hair is still soft from As I Am, and it's been a whole week. So you put that in, and what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna take it and kind of semi braid it back because it wasn't a braid. So I'm just gonna do a loose braid, nothing fancy, until I actually wash it. So, so this is just to put it up until I actually wash it. And they recommend that you leave this in for about 10 minutes, but mine's may be in longer than 10 minutes because I got some stuff I gotta do. So that's just one side, just to show you. And I think my hair is actually longer. I mean, I had long hair when I was a child, um, but I never thought that my hair would get to this particular length. I want to say I've always had a nice length of hair, but not way down to here. Okay, so um, it just goes to show you that you can get good results. And dealing with your hair takes a certain amount of patience. And some ladies just you gotta have patience. And I tell people you gotta have patience when it comes to your hair. You have to have patience. And do I get tired of fooling with my hair? Yeah. I didn't want to do my hair this morning. I really didn't. I had to make myself get out the bed early this morning before the sun rose, before my grandchildren got up. Because when they get up, all I'm going to hear is, I'm hungry. I want to play. I want to do this and that. Oh, that's all I'm going to hear. That's all I'm going to hear. So before I hear that, I will go ahead and braid my hair down, especially the baby girl. She's sweet as she can, a piece of apple pie, but I tell you, she requires a lot of attention. Um, but she's sweet as apple pie. So basically, just braiding my hair down, um, and letting the Olaplex do its thing. And it looks like it's uneven, but it's not. It's just the way I braided this one up as opposed to braiding this one. I braided this one further to the back and this one right by my ear. Um, so basically that is oh, I'm sorry. That is the Olaplex real simple, and because the last time I already put aloe vera on my roots, because it was itching really bad. Sometimes that will happen, and I've been researching the itching. Um, if you look up why does your scalp itch, sometimes it itches because you have some inflammation or something on your hair that you might be allergic to, um, some kind of product, and your scalp is not clean. But sometimes your hair itches when you use products like um, melatonin or peptide. If you use peptides or peptide spray, the peptide increases the blood flow in your scalp. Now, I notice that when I do my granddaughter's hair, her hair feels very warm after I wash it at her scalp, and her hair is extremely thick and healthy. And I always wondered what that was. That's increased blood flow. See, when you're younger, you have more of that blood flow. But as you get older, you have that blood flow, but not as much. So you can increase that blood flow by using polypeptide or using peptide serum, peptide spray, or some people get peptide shots. And that blood flow stimulates your hair follicles and it makes them produce more hair, thicker hair, healthier hair from the root. Does that make sense? Because if you guys look here, this part, and this is not even a part because it's not even, this right here, you can see my root, but before it was just a clean, was no hair there at all. None. This was all see-through. And I was very concerned. But since when I started using the Trichology regimen with the DHT blocker, it the last 2 years, I've been using it for almost 2 years now. Um, it got better. It did. But when I started using the peptide in combination with that, it really started to show massive improvement. Massive improvement. And when you go, it's called Advanced Trichology. I think that's about the best. Advanced Trichology. They give you a quiz, and I look at a lot of things online, and these people, they're the truth. They give you a quiz. They tell you, depending on how long your hair has been gone, say you have no hair at all, and if your hair has not been gone, I think more than 5 years, you can still get your hair back if you have no scar tissue on your scalp. You can still get your hair back. Your follicles are just lying dormant. What God gave you can still come back on your head. And I had started thinning, but it hadn't been more than 5 years. So when I started using the products, what was gone started to come back gradually. Now, it's not an instantaneous. You have to use the products as consistently as possible. If I would miss putting it in my head at night, I put it in my head in the morning. And I did get results on my consistency. It's the same thing with your hair routine. I cleanse my hair or wash my hair at least once a week. Now, really, you could wash your hair regardless of what kind of hair you have every 3 to 4 days, and it wouldn't. You could co-wash it, and it wouldn't. Your hair would love it, but you can't manipulate your hair every day. That's why I manipulate my hair on the weekend, After I wash it, I may wear a style for a couple of days. Then after that, it's in some kind of braid, loose braid with no tension. I don't do box braids and all that other stuff because it adds tension to my roots and it causes me to experience breakage. Now, that's just me. And it is impossible for you to get a sew in and keep that in your head for how long? 6 months and not have some breakage from the root. Because, first of all, any trichologist or sane hairdresser will tell you that you lose anywhere between 50 to 80 strands a day. So a lot of that's coming out is hair that couldn't get out. What do you think dreads are? Dreadlocks is hair that is locked, dead hair that can't get out. And all you have when you have dreads, you just have knotty hair. That's it. Knots all over your head. And dreadlocks are not for everybody. Some people can wear it and they be smashing it. But some people, and I'm here to tell you, dreadlocks are not for me. Mm-mm. And I don't want to lock my hair because once you lock your hair, most people have to cut them out to get rid of them. But they can be combed out, but it takes a long time to get them out and a lot of patience because this is it, and it depends on how long they are and how long you've had them. That is the truth. So that is my pre-poo. Back to my DIY, back to basics. And what I will be doing is shampooing this out. hmm Uh, I might shampoo it out this morning and I might shampoo it out tomorrow morning because you can leave Olaplex in your hair overnight. It can't hurt your head. It can only make your hair stronger because it's a bonding element that helps restore the elasticity of your curl. The elasticity of your curl. If you don't have any, if you have intense heat damage. Now, I don't have intense heat damage. Why? Because when I warm press or blow my hair out, I either use my Reb hair dryer, which causes less tension on my hair, or I simply press it from the root and not all the way down my hair shaft. Why? Because the strongest part of your hair is your roots. That's your youngest part. The weakest part of your hair are your ends. And you want to preserve your ends if you're looking for growth. You want to preserve your ends. All right, Natural Easters. Love you. And I'm getting ready to go because I have work to do. I've been up since 5. And that's another thing running a business. Yeah, running a business. I'm telling you, it's really the money. Because people, and I was going to give this example. Before I leave, let me give this example. I started rambling on about something else. Say, for instance, you take in about 50K a month. And we've had those months where we've taken in 50, 60, 70K. Well, that 50, 60, 70K, that doesn't all go into your pocket as a business owner. But if you're working with an assistant or somebody else that sees that amount of money, even in ministry, even in a church, people that are starving around you. I don't like working with, and people might not like this statement that I'm about to say, but I found it to be true. It's difficult to work with starving people that don't realize who their source is. The Lord is your shepherd. You shall not want. Let that sink in. The 23rd Psalms. That's what David said. The Lord is my shepherd. There's another passage of scripture that says, and the Lord God shall increase you greater and greater. So some people that are starving don't realize that by testimony. So the flesh is a diabolical thing. No good thing dwells in it. They develop, what's in the flesh, not develop, but they allow covetousness to affect them. So they start coveting, and it plays games with the mind. Instead of them thinking, God will bless me, or trying to understand what that 50K has to do. The only thing they're focused on is, I don't have it, I need it, and I will either take it or complain that I don't have it and I'm not getting paid enough, even though they're getting paid for what they actually worked for or what they agreed upon. See, in a contract, you agree upon a certain amount of pay before you start a job. It's really not your concern how much money the job brings in, because the job just doesn't pay you. It pays a multitude or a multiple amount of people, that flooring people, carpenters, I'm talking about my business, assistants, landscapers, every job you might have or might have not done. You understand? So if 50K comes in for a project, that means there was a lot of work on that project. You've got your flooring people, your cleaning people, your carpenters, your trash out people, your landscapers, all of these people, your closers, people that help with the closing of the property. And then you've got your insurance to pay, whatever that might be. And then you have your overhead, your equipment fees, your office rental where you run your business, your vehicles that you use for your business. And not only that, after you paid everybody and you paid all your business expenses, you have your own personal bills, because you're also a contractor, because you're working for yourself. So you have, just like you're paying people to pay their bills, now you have to pay yourself so you can pay for your personal vehicle that's not your business vehicle. You have to pay for your personal bills, your mortgage, your rent, whatever it might be, your groceries, your gas. Yeah. And if you're running a lawn care service, you got to pay for the gas, the oil, the whatever, the maintenance on the equipment, and all of that. Plus, you pay for the supplies that most of your contractors need to do the labor. See, None of my contractors pay for supplies. The business pays for all their supplies, and we pay for the labor so that they can do the job effectively. So that by the time you get through with that 50K, you might have about $4,000 or $5,000, maybe seven left. Maybe a little more. Let me say 10. Yeah, because I'm doing the math in my head. You might have about $10,000 left. Well, with that $10,000, what you're going to do is pay your insurance, pay all your pay your equipment fees, pay yourself back for all of the materials that you had to buy to do the job. hmm And pay your personal bills. And then you're going to save some of it for the business. You're going to save some of it in your personal account because it's your business. That's the perks of it being your business. So you might save about maybe 2,000, and then you might pay yourself back into the business for the materials that you bought because you need cash flow for your next project. Does that make sense? Okay, now how many people, average people who are starving and don't understand that the Lord is their provider, understand that? And if you make the mistake of hiring, which I have, unfortunately, I have hired people like that, wanting to help them grow their business, wanting to. I have hired a lot of ungrateful people who, when they left, some begged to come back, but I just wouldn't. I've hired people that didn't understand the contract. They didn't know how they signed the contract and didn't understand how the pay comes. See, because starving people want to get paid. And see, starving people, I don't use a lot. I use some starving people, but not a lot. Starving people want to get paid right then and there when they finish the job, which, if that's written in the contract, we can do that. I don't put starving people on contract. Mm-mm. I have very few people on contract. I use starving people as freelancers because they don't understand the business. These are people that are always scuffling, trying to get ahead. They're scuffling all the time. Can't seem to pay their phone bill consistently or their bills. They're scratching and scuffling all the time. These are people that the minute they finish the job, they're burning your phone up like you haven't paid them in the past. They burning it up. They don't understand that you working too, and you might not be able to answer the phone. I remember one time I was working on a job, and the contractor contacted me for the payment, but I didn't answer the phone right away because I was working. However, when I finished working within that day, I paid them. Do you know the contractor got angry because I didn't answer my phone? Yeah, you don't know why somebody's not answering the phone. I'm running 3 businesses, and I told them to their face. I said, when your wife called me, it was their wife. I said, you didn't answer your phone, and that kind of bothered me. That got to me. I said, let me tell you something. When your wife called, I was working. I was in the middle of a project, but I called her right back and paid it when I finished. I said, I would never not pay you. Matter of fact, when I first met you, I gave you $100 tip for doing a job for me. See, those are starving people. They're never going to get ahead. Starving people go nowhere in life. They don't. They're always going to be scratching around for crumbs when you could have the whole cake. So I only put people initially on contract who I know understand how the pay falls. They have read the contract. And then if I make a mistake now and I find out you don't understand the contract, then I limit your jobs. I only use you when it's absolutely necessary. Now, I'm going to tell you, and I don't care if starving people that have worked for me is listening to this. That's why you don't get the bulk of the jobs, because you're starving to, you don't read your contract. And I get tired of going back to explain to you the contract. If I have to keep explaining to you the contract and you have to keep telling me what work you can do, I don't care what work you can do. I'm running a business. So you get the work I give you. Or just say you can't do it. Just say, I don't want to do it. And I've had contractors say, I'm going to be out of town, or I can't do it at this time. I had a contractor to tell me that they didn't like the way the pay was falling. So I don't give them any, I don't, and the pay falls like this. We close houses. Give you an example. I have 3 businesses. One is renovation. One is landscaping. We have landscaping in renovation, but it's not the same. We run landscaping routes where we do a daily cut schedule on routes. Okay? And the other is commercial cleaning. Okay, let's start with commercial cleaning. Clients in commercial pay once a month. That's the contract. So when do my cleaners get paid? My commercial cleaners get a lump sum payout once a month. Most of the commercial cleaning is part-time. Now you can make it full-time. And I do have one cleaner that pretty much for them it's a full-time gig. They do have another something, but it's not like the commercial cleaning. So you have, it's part-time in the evenings. You may clean 2, maybe 3 hours, 4 hours at the most. I don't think I have one commercial clean that's more than 4 hours. And even if the work order says 4 hours, you're probably not going to be in the building but 3, maybe 2.5. You don't even clean the whole 4 hours, but I pay for the 4 hours just in case something might come up. So you have no excuse not to do the job. Okay? So they get paid once a month. They get a lump sum once a month. Okay? And then I have my landscaping routes. Landscapers get paid once a week. They get paid every Friday if they did a route that week. They cash out every Friday. And then I have my renovation contract. On my renovation contract, I have 3 to 10 days to pay you. Most of the time, it's in 3 days. Well, you say, well, why is it 3 to 10? Because in renovations, we may get to the closing of a house and we may see a problem, and we may have to go back and correct that problem. So the house won't close sometimes on the day that it's supposed to. If it does close on the day that it's supposed to, and it's not delayed, then we will get paid out within 3 days. And it's like clockwork. But if the house closing, and I tell my contractors, the closing was delayed, but according to contract, I have to pay you within 10 days. And I had a contractor to question me. on the pay. And I told him, I said, did you read the contract? You don't have a contract with them. You have a contract with me. My contract says that I have to pay you within 10 days. And I have pretty much always honored that once a job is done. So obviously, if you're asking me about the pay, you did not read the contract. You just signed it. That's a starving person. You didn't read it. Okay, so I made a mistake thinking you weren't a starving person. So now I have to back up and reevaluate the work that I give you. I have to give it to a contractor that's not starving. hmm And usually that's a contractor that's been with me longer. And I have some contractors been with me 2, 3, 4 years, even longer. And they get the bulk of the work because they're not starving. hmm And that's how it pays. Now, my freelance contractors, say I call in a plumber outside of the other plumbers that I have under contract, or I call in, they may be on other jobs. I call in a freelance plumber, or I call in a freelance electrician, or something like that on the side. They may not be under contract. Okay. And so I may pay them out of the SERP if I have, and I can only do that if I have upfront money to be able to do that. A lot of times, as a business owner, you don't. So if I see that I can cover that expense once the project closes, then I will pay them after they have. Most of the time, I don't call them in until the house is getting ready to close. And it can't close without that. And I pay them after they've done the labor. And I keep them, and they're not on contract because the mentality, and you have a lot of freelance contractors out there like that. It's a lot of them. And I'm willing to bet that they're living from paycheck to paycheck and from pillar to post and post to pillar. And it doesn't matter what race they are, they're starving. hmm They are. Because anytime somebody's running you down for $20 or even $300 in a business like we do in renovations and construction, they're starving. hmm They're starving. Yeah, they are. And then those are areas that I don't need that often because most of the things that we do in renovation, I don't need a licensed plumber. Um, I don't need a licensed electrician. Um, I don't need a landscaper that can clear a field of trees or cut a massive tree down. Those are things I need every now and then. Like I just did a tree for one of my clients. Okay, I called on my tree contractor who gave me an invoice and gave me 30 days to pay it. There's a story behind that, but it was a 30-day invoice. I paid them before the 30 days was up because I don't like to have bills over my head, so I went ahead and paid them. Because they're freelance. I don't use them on a regular basis, but I have some great landscapers that I pretty much use on a regular basis, and they understand the contract. hmm They understand the contract. Um, some of them work with me in renovations, and some of them work with me with the daily routes. So there you have it. I just explained to you what a starving person is and how you need to be careful in business. And that's why it's been very, very difficult for me this last year or so to hire somebody to help me run the business. Because they see that 50,000 or that 20,000 or whatever that payout is, or how much those projects are that we do, and they can't handle the money. And that's why I teach online, and I may teach it again, what is money. They can't handle the money. Well, there's my alarm. I gotta go. So it's DIY, back to basics, and don't fool with starving people. Love you guys.